I'm not the same person as Rob, but that doesn't mean that I have my own things to bring to the table.
Rob?
So Alianza does demand a lot of things, and sometimes you feel as the EVP it's your obligation and duty to sort of fulfill those needs. Well, what do you do when you have a board member who is physically capable of helping out Alianza, but at the same time is essentially overwhelmed from the work that Alianza has to do? What do you as the EVP do in terms of managing Alianza and in terms of managing a board member within part of your own board?
I'm not afraid to voice my opinion on Alianza if we got to that point. I feel that there's a limit to how much you can ask of somebody. If they're just physically incapable of doing so, then you're not going to get anything done. Obviously, if it's on my board member's part, I don't mind talking to them, trying to figure out what's up. They're just being lazy. But everyone should be pulling their own weight in terms of everything when it comes to Alianza-related events. And if there's a miscommunication, I will try to remedy that situation, but at the same time, it's not all under my control because there are 4 organizations on campus under Alianza.
Diana, Gabby, Rosalind, yes. We'll have
What made you decide to run for EVP?
Well, this is actually something I was considering since, let's say, last year. Just because in terms of PASS, I love PASS, but at the same time I also love Alianza, like all the orgs. Because they all have their own things to bring, they all have wonderful people, and as long as you search for it, you'll find it. I think with the EVP position, it has the most stuff in the Constitution to go out and actually find those connections. And if there's something I can add to the table, then I can put it there as well.
Gabby?
So CAP is one of EVP's most biggest responsibilities, and you've seen CAP for the past 2 years. Can you critique CAP and talk about what you would do differently, what would you bring, and also how would you make sure that you're going to follow up with yourself to keep in contact with all these speakers and make sure to cater to all the members as well?
Well, when it comes to CAP, I know there's a big focus on FACOC and other just people bringing their parents getting to talk during conferences, and that's definitely something I want to continue. In terms of keeping contact with them, as soon as I receive if I was elected, the first thing I do when I receive the email is try to find out who I need to keep in contact with, what kind of things they expect from me as an EVP, what kind of things they expect from PASS. And if those are things that we can provide, definitely encourage them to come. I think the conferences were very successful, but I would like to see other, majors represented, such as my one as psychology, just because there were a few, but at the same time, I feel like some people are deterred from coming just because they don't think it applies to them. So that's something I would like to add.
So as EVP, obviously connections are a big part of it. So what are some new connections that you have right now that you could bring to the position?
Well, obviously, I did say that I do have roots within all the Alianza orgs, though I would say some run deeper than others. So coming into contact with Alianza is not really a problem. In terms of other connections besides that, I can't say I have too many, honestly. But that's not something that can be worked on if I start, right now.
So, last question. We'll go to Rob.
Can I really ask 3?
No.
You sure?
Yeah,
Just some good stuff.
All right,
Well, this is a 3-part
Ask
question.
the realistic.
I'm dead serious. When you start off as EVP, you have this high momentum and this high mentality that you as PASS and you as Alianza are going to physically work together. But as the years go by and as the time goes by, you sort of run into a wall, and it makes you sad to realize that not everyone is physically able to capably participate or want to participate in Alianza events. How will you combat that? How will you cope with that? Second,
Well, let us answer the first one first.
no, this is all combined. Second, the larger thing is it's hard to motivate members on your board to get involved into these things. So how will you do that? And third, what makes you qualified to do this?
Is that Well, you know, okay, I'll just start off with this year, for example. PASS's board was really, really close in the beginning of the year, and we still are. But we did a lot of things together, like we hung out, got ramen after the board dinner, board meeting, sorry. And I feel like that really perpetuated the things outside of that. Because we were so close to each other, it made us want to work harder in our own duties. So bringing that outside to Alianza, I think that's something we can continue within our own board for next year. But at the same time, if we start, building these connections with each other early, maybe we'd be more obligated to follow through. Maybe we'd feel a connection. Because honestly, sometimes for me, as an HSO director this year, I don't feel obligated to go to some Alianza events because I don't have a connection with them. Whether that's because I didn't go to their meetings, or if I did, I didn't find what I wanted, anything like that, then that's something that can be worked on. In terms of what I can bring the experience I've had being in Alianza for about 2 years. I've seen what needs to be changed if we want to have a unified Alianza, and that is we have to be more close with each other. We can't say things, put it on the table. If all of us just stare there looking at it, it'll never be taken, and the school will never recognize us for what we can be. I think through my positions, I've had a lot of time to work with people I don't know, or people I do know. And I think with all these interactions, I've gotten the opportunity to grow closer with them. I think growing closer is the one thing that needs to be worked on if we want to, continue through with what everyone's been saying. That's, planning events, it's really not that hard. If we plan events to hang out and people actually fall through that early, then maybe by the end of the year we'll be even closer. The people that stay in Alianza will be able to just continue the tradition until we start blurring the lines between organizations. Maybe not to the point where we're all combined or anything like that, but we would be able to make our mark.
Alright, last question, Joel.
Yes.
What's your biggest fear with this position? Did I already get asked?
Within the position?
Yeah, within the position.
I guess my own personal fear is just that I won't be able to follow up on the things that Rob does and the things that he's able to say. I don't have the background that he does, but I need to create that. I need to start soon if that's something I wish to do. So my biggest fear is not only being able to go through with what I'm saying, but to follow up with my predecessors because they have put up a very high bar for me.
Alright, with that, can we give a round of applause?